Testing, testing. Right, looks like it's working now. Oh, for fuck's sake, you have no idea how stressed I just got. Like, everything stopped working, everything fucked up. But now it looks like it's working. Like, for real. Oh my god, how's everyone doing? Because I am pretty stressed. I think everything's working now, though. I think we're all good for now. I had to change the latency, close everything, reopen it, try and get the camera to figure out where I am, and all this other bollocks. And now it looks like everything's working again, which means I just need to reshare links. However I do that. how do I get a link to this? All right, well we'll see what I'm drawing in a bit because I have I swear I have carpal tunnel in one hand, and my other hand is pretty messed up as well. So I'll be drawing, if I'm drawing anything, I'll be drawing with my left hand. So it will be more of a joke. I'll just try and draw something with my left hand and see how good I am at drawing with my non-dominant hand, see what I can draw. That's what I'll do in a little bit, probably. But probably not too much, because like I've said, I've kind of caused massive stress on both these arms, and they're not doing great. I don't really know how I can stop it, to be honest. I've just been doing a lot of stretches with them. I've been trying to rest my right arm all day, but I guess right now that hasn't happened as much. Alright. Okay. I just gotta find a link to wherever this is coming up. Okay. Let me just find a link. Where would this come up? My channel, maybe? God almighty. I better get rid of that stream as well. Alright. Apologies, I just had to do some technical working outs because everything went so messy. Honestly, I haven't played that much Sonic Racing, but I think the beginning of the downfall was playing Doom, I think, months ago, with a bad mouse, and just in the midst of doing like lots of writing and drawing, trying to play Doom just gave me, I feel it's probably carpal tunnel or tinnitus in my right hand, and I had to stress my way through the project, which was a nightmare in itself. And after I finished this Satoshi Kon video, I don't think I made it any better. And since then, which was like August, it just really hasn't gotten much better. It's been going up and down. Some days it's better, some days it's worse. And I've realised it's just not getting any better, so I need to take some serious precautions on it and stop using it as much and try and let it heal. And stretches and all this other stuff so I don't destroy my right hand. But my left hand is starting to feel the pain today already because it's been doing most of the tasks my right hand usually does. So it's I'm already starting to feel the stress on that arm. So maybe I won't have any arms at this rate. Jesus Christ, how do I even... Unlisted. Get rid of that one. Cancel, save. Right, yeah, that's my day. Thank you, Beneath the Surface Podcast. I appreciate you like the stuff I do. Yeah, right now this is a bit of a mess, but I'll figure it out. I'm just gonna reshare things, I guess. Delete. Tweet. Streaming There we go. All right. I think that's everything I needed to do. Yeah, I've hopefully I've fixed everything. Hopefully everything is now okay. Yeah, okay. I'll just... If it sounds good, I gotta do some exercise with my hands. Alright. Yeah, we might do some drawing in a bit, but my hands are all tense and strained on both sides. I need to do some reflecting on it. Alright. Anyway, just gonna try and relax for a second. I mean, I'll mainly do talking. The drawing is... I'll see how I feel a bit later. I'll see how I feel about it. I'd like to do something drawing-wise, but probably not with my dominant hand. But yeah, I mean, I'm here for either of it. How's it all hanging? I mean, if I'm drawing with my left hand, which isn't my dominant hand, I won't be using it anyway. It'll just be for the sake of it, just for the exercise. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the way I use a mouse, but like I've been using my mouse at my desk today with my left hand, and it's just ruined it. It's ruined my left hand, I should say, which is my non-dominant hand. So it's all kinds of like beaten up. Maybe it's because my left hand's not used to it, but like I don't know. Maybe I just use a mouse wrong or something, because it's really done a number on both of my arms. So yeah, that's me. I also just finished a video which will be coming out in November. I would release it now, but it's probably... If I released it now, it probably wouldn't do any good. I need to release it on the day that it coincides with its other release. Yeah, No Hand Steven, that would be me. I'm gonna do everything with my teeth. But yeah, the new video I've just finished is on a project called Legend of Hay. It's a Chinese animation, reminiscent in a lot of aesthetically to the Studio Ghibli stuff, but I think the studio itself has very much the potential in future to become its own kind of potential auteur studio type get-up. It seems to be run by a specifically... Spoilers? I don't know, I won't say anything about the film itself. It's just a Chinese animated film. But yeah, no spooky month. You know, I did think about doing a spooky video, but I just don't think it's in the cards right now. Unfortunately, my projects are just not lined up that way. But what would you say? Yeah, because I've been watching Devil Lady. Devil Lady? I think that's the name of it. It's kind of like a strange reinterpretation of Devilman. And the whole time I was watching Devil Lady, I was thinking, like, could this be a video? Could this actually be a video to talk about? Because the very idea of Devil Lady sounded like schlock to me. It was just like, oh, this is ridiculous. I can't imagine this is like any good. Like, it's this sort of like late 90s edgy animated thing about like Devilman, but like the whole cast is women. And yeah, I didn't expect Devil Lady to be like good. And I think it actually has a lot of potential. Like, I mean, it has its certain missteps, and it's certainly of its age. In fact, in some parts, I think the animation is far too dark. Like, I think it has a really unique aesthetic in how, like, black it is. But, like, sometimes you don't even know what's going on. Like, I don't even know if that's intentional, how dark it got. But I generally did wonder if I could do some sort of Devil Lady video talking about, like, how Devil Lady is better than most would expect it to be. But... I don't know, I don't think I could do it in time, and I don't think it would, I don't know if the video is all there in my head, and I never got finished, never had time to finish the series yet, so probably just not going to happen, I'm afraid. The Devilman, Yeah, I actually think Devil Lady is worth giving a go. Like, you can watch most of it on YouTube, on like TMS's like official channel. It's pretty. It is like a reinterpretation of the original Devilman like mythos, but with like different people, almost like a different timeline, like a different version of events where things are similar but a little bit different. But yeah, the series that the Devilman universe is absolutely insane. I don't think there's any way around it. Like, I mean, if Devilman the original manga was not crazy enough, all the stuff that they've done since is even more wild, and it's kind of impressive. I mean, it sounds like the actual manga of Devil Lady is actually more what I'd expect Devil Lady the anime to be. Like, it sounds a lot more like ridiculous and sort of sleazy than like what the actual show is, where I think it's actually quite withheld itself. It is a bit like a spin-off. Yeah, I mean, well, Devil Lady is a bit like a spin-off. What accent do I have? Yeah, probably British. Probably British. Yeah, it's British. Um, it. If I had to guess, the accent would probably be defined. Even though I don't, I live in like the southwest, but I'd say my accent derives more from. Actually, I probably don't even need these anymore. Oh, not a good thing. Yeah, I'd say my accent derives more from like London area, because one of my parents kind of grew up in the place. But it is, I wouldn't say it's like BBC. It's kind of like in between BBC and Cockney. But growing up in the southwest, I've taken a couple of like speech patterns you'll get down here, which have specific ways like you say words and such. But I'd say for the most part, like it's just English. All right. So where was I? Yeah, the Devilman universe is insane. Devil Lady's a pretty good show, but I don't think I've got time to actually make it into a Halloween video because how many days? I've got other projects to go, and that one's not. That's not on my burner yet. But I do kind of miss doing like silly Halloween videos. Like a couple of years ago, I did a video on Dracula, Dracula Sovereign of the Damned. I really enjoyed making that video, even though it was like nothing special. I just thought it was a fun experience to talk about that sort of ridiculous old horror anime things. But yeah, the Chinese animated. That's where I was. Yeah, Chinese animation's actually coming along quite nicely, and independent studios like MTJJ's studio, who also do Legend of Hay, which is a short online series as well as a movie. Really great stuff they've done, and they also released a new series this year, which was I guess connected to someone else, but it was actually a lot of fun. I really like that new series they made as well. What was I going to say? Yeah, Hammer Horror. I like Hammer Horror. I like the classic Universal. I actually have a collection of classic Universal horror films in the other room. I've been meaning to actually like watch all of them properly, but I have seen some of them in the past. Yeah, I enjoy the classic horror tropes. I think most of it, like I knew through osmosis, but I think the first time I considered like really thinking about it, it was during James Ralph's Cinemassacre months. You know, every year since forever, he's done the Monster Madness months, which I'd say in some part is a huge inspiration on like me as a content creator. James Ralph definitely. If there was no James Ralph, I don't think I'd ever started YouTube back in the days when I was much younger, or like even the idea of some of the stuff I've done. I don't think like making a video on like every day of a month, it's like insane, but James did it first, and I think he did it the best. I always loved watching Monster Madness. Reese's peanut butter cups. That's not a thing in England, really. I don't think. I don't really eat chocolate, so unfortunately, you know, it's not within me that much. So I don't have any opinion on it. So yeah, here's the difference, right? Reading Devil Lady, from what I understand, is quite different than watching Devil Lady. They're actually completely two different shows. From what I understand, there's some like weird, like psychosexual stuff in the Devil Lady like manga, where like the Devil Lady the anime is more like a horror show, where like the idea of being like a devil person is more like a psychological like position that burdens the main character. Where like in Devilman, the manga, the original manga, and some of the versions that you've seen since, being a Devilman never really affected the main character like in a bad way per se. He generally seemed to enjoy being a devil, where Devil Lady does not. For the most part, she seems to be quite conflicted about what it does to her. Even though later on, I think she becomes more accepting of what it is to be a devil. I think it's a lot more pulled back, it seems, than what Go Nagai was doing. Is that Door? I don't know how to say your name. Is it Door 88? 88. If you're asking about Dracula Sovereign of the Damned, yeah, it was based on a Marvel comic, but very loosely, and it was based on like a long part of the run. Yeah, James Rolfe, legendary figure within the community, and I probably owe him a lot, especially in my early days. Most of those videos are gone now, unfortunately. I think I deleted them years ago. But once upon a time, when I was a much younger man, I did make a lot of like, I had made a series of video game reviews, very much inspired from the nerd as like an idea. I wasn't very angry in them, but like just the idea of making them was very inspired by what I'd seen with James Rolfe and what he was doing at the time. And I think I learned a lot about editing back then by doing those videos, which I used later on in my experience through different art careers. It's just my experience in video editing back then was the foundation for all video editing stuff I learned afterwards. Interesting. Yeah, if we're talking about Devil Lady is definitely in. If you want a Halloween series to watch, I mean, it's like 26 episodes. James Rolfe? Am I saying Ralph? James Rolfe, right? James Rolfe? Yeah, James Rolfe, right? If I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, I mean James Rolfe. James Rolfe, yeah, the man very much cares for his horror films, especially the classical stuff, and I think that did give me a very big appreciation for that. I kind of like the old aesthetic because I'm big on texture, lighting, and sort of that kind of feeling of atmosphere. I think those things are very big to me, like on a personal, like visual level, especially as someone who background is in art and design. I've never watched how would you say it? Hibane Renmei. No, I've never watched it. I know it's quite popular. Just never saw it. Um. Oh, actually, here's a fun one. Technically, what I do on YouTube is currently my main job. Though I have a lot of. It's complicated, right? I quit my last job because of situations to do with the virus and how I didn't feel it was a very safe environment to work in. And I had enough savings and enough secure in my where I live that it wasn't a big deal for me personally. Like I'm going to be okay. I mean, any support is appreciated. I mean, I have a new video on Patreon for anyone who wants to watch it. It won't be up for like another couple of weeks, but yeah, like currently this is my job. My old job actually, before I quit it, it went out of business like just a couple weeks ago because I used to work in a cinema, and because of the situation with like I had assumed all the movies were going to go right back to the cinema because I didn't think that movie companies cared enough to like postpone it. But I guess apparently not enough people go to watch them, so they keep postponing all the big screen like films that are going to come out in England. But after a while of them doing that, basically the place I used to work at went out of business, and they've like shut down until at least spring, and they may not, I don't know if they're even coming back. They basically just can't like function because yeah, there's just no money in it. Like most of those places make their money from food, and if no one's coming in, barely, and if no one's buying food, they just don't make any money. So yeah, I would have lost my job either way. Yeah, someone mentioned Count of Monte Cristo. I've actually read quite a bit of the novel. I actually really like reading the novel. I have like a big audiobook of the novel, and if I go out like out and about for walks, I used to spend a lot of time listening to like the Count of Monte Cristo audiobooks, like parts, because I mean it is a long book. It's a really long book. And I got quite far into. I need to actually pick it up again, I think, because it's been a while, and I can't remember. Oh god, I can't even remember where I was. Oh, from what I remember, he's in the island. That's what I remember last. That he was like on the island, and I think we may have pulled away to talk about some other characters I don't give a shit about. That's what I remember last. He's in the prison. That's what I remember. I don't know if does it consider itself horror? Maybe later on, I don't know. But yeah, I've been reading through it. Maybe one day I'll actually look at the anime. I think that potentially could be a cool video, just like comparing the book to the anime and talking about both of those factors. I think that could be a really cool idea to do, like as a personal project. Who knows? But I've heard the anime is good. I've always wanted to watch it, but I thought I'd actually read it first. Yeah, all right. Someone's saying about the Count of Dracula. I mean, the Dracula Sovereign of the Damned. Yeah, based on the Tomb of Dracula comic books back in the 80s. Definitely. It's just like it condensed a whole run of storylines into like an hour and 20 minutes or something along those lines. Yeah, and supposedly that's where Blade came from at one point. So, you know, it's got a legacy. I mean, Blade isn't in the movie though, so 0 out of 10. I mean, all right. Doug Walker is a that's a different topic entirely. Back in the day, I think I saw a lot of Doug's content, though. To be blunt, I do not respect Doug as a content creator, personally. As a content creator, I am the. I mean, even back then, I was here and there with some of it, but I did watch a lot of it. I mean, I watched it for years, but in retrospect, I don't necessarily respect what Doug does, and I think that Oni is in his rights to like make fun of Doug all he wants, especially considering how poorly they handle all their like employees in the past. Supposedly now they're a lot better, but I mean I don't know. Doug does not have a good criteria on his case, and like Doug's whole thing is just like I don't get it. No, ice cream. Ooh, what, the boxes? I don't understand. Why are the boxes here? That's like Doug for like 25 minutes, and that's every video. Yeah, Count of Monte Cristo. There's the novel is very big from what I've read or like what I've listened to. I mean, unabridged, huge novel it is. There's a lot of different facets and a lot of different pieces of history in there with like the French Revolution, I think, is happening at the same time. There's a lot of different characters. It's like very big and there's lots of different things going on. I'm kind of more interested in like the main character's storyline more so, but yeah, it's interesting nonetheless, and I've really liked what I've read so far. Though it does go all over the place, it's quite dense. But yeah, it's cool. It's my kind of book. Oh yeah, that is the latest video I ever saw of Doug's. Like it's been like many years, but I did watch a lot of that wall review just because of I heard the stories and Jesus Christ, it's not even like it's dramatically different from his other stuff. It's just that it's all at once. It's like 45 minutes of just all the skits he does, but as a whole video. Like there's no movie. It's all just one 40-minute Nostalgia Critic skit. And if that makes you want to pull your teeth out, then understandable. Very much understandable. And I know a lot of people who the big Pink Floyd fans are probably feeling that he, you know, kind of butchered the whole like idea and premise of the Wall album. I like the Wall album just fine. I'm not like the biggest Pink Floyd Head. I like The Wall though. I like listening to The Wall more so on the live side, not necessarily the actual original album. I used to listen to like live renditions of like from like Pulse, I think it was called, which was like a Pink Floyd concert from like the 90s, very big, epic one. Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the songs. I like the film actually. I do actually quite like the film. It's a good time. Nostalgia Critics video, hilarious comment section, hilarious to make fun of, painful to watch. And it's the only Corey Sack are hilarious when they move. Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, they bring it to a new level. Anytime they're doing like the nostalgia critic bits or like Linkara. I mean, I think I had more respect for Linkara, and I probably still do. But he is a doofus, and I appreciate him being a doofus. But his like lore is like legendarily outrageous. It's kind of beautifully outrageous that he just reviews comic books, but his lore is like denser than Star Trek, and like how many seasons of lore and context it all has, and how he's the light bringer. It's me, the light bringer, Linkara. Isn't that how he sounds? Is it what he does? Do I read any Japanese authors? Ooh. Do I? I'm trying to think. Have I? I don't read a lot of Japanese novels, if I'm honest. I do read, like, the history stuff. Like, I read some about history, but, like, that comes from a lot of different sources. I've read quite a bit of manga. I don't know if I've read too many, like, Japanese novelists on their own. I'm trying to think if there's anyone I could remember. Ooh, there's probably one that I can't even remember that I have read, but I probably have forgotten about it, to be honest. Anything in particular? It's not really my area too much. Like, I do have a lot of novels to read that I just haven't read, so I don't pick up that many books. I'm sure there's great ones out there. I'm sure there's lots of great ones I should be reading, but, like, I'm a man all over the place. And I would love to do a Kurosawa video. Someone asked about that. This is something I actually had ideas about doing for, like, forever. I think the issue for me to some degree is, I actually own his, like, autobiography, which goes up to about 1950. I own a lot of, like, movies that have documentaries on the man. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of stories. Some of those movies are really hard to track down, though, for me in England. A lot of those movies haven't been, like... To be fair, the BFI has released a fair chunk of his movies, like, that you can buy. But a lot of his movies, like, a lot of the ones that are less well-known, are really hard to track down in, like, England. So it would be really hard for me to watch everything he's done to, like, actually talk about it. Because I don't know if I'd actually talk about it from, like, X movies... Y movie, C movie, X movie, C, Y. Look, I don't want to go through each of his movies and give like a review of what they are. I'd like to talk about the time periods and what happened during those time periods and the kind of the story, because there's like a lot of insane stuff that happens in Kurosawa's career, including like this sort of like complete downward spiral in the middle of his career where he tries to commit suicide, the experience of him like being completely like shut out by the Japanese like companies at the time, and then him being saved by like the Soviet Union to create this like very particular adaptation of a different story, which again I can't even buy. I think the only version I could buy of it is in like Italian. Can't even buy it in England for whatever reason. This epic like movie of his, and then he like won some awards for that movie. I think he won an Oscar, was it? And maybe some other awards. And there was this one particular time where Katakawa tried to like whatever award ceremony it was, probably a Japanese award ceremony, they tried to like give him a handshake like the head of Katakawa, and like Kurosawa just absolutely blanked them, which is like, fuck you, absolutely fuck you, like, you know. And yeah, his career afterwards being very like international, like with people like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg funding his movies, like I believe they did is it Kagemusha, Like, they sort of funded that. He did Ran, which is probably one of the most legendary films. Dreams. Dreams is an excellent, like, diatribe on short films. There's a lot of crazy stuff in there. I've always found, like, the work of Kurosawa to be, like, visually arresting, like, and probably one of the biggest inspirations for me in just, like, creating things. Even, like, in a very abstract sense. Like, a lot of the stuff I used to do when I was a collage-y, multimedia kind of guy, all very heavily inspired by that sort of feeling. And I know that some of his work is quite similar to a lot of, like, old Japanese woodcutters who I'm meaning to get more into. But, like, Kurosawa's career is just so dense. I would definitely like to do a video on it one day. I would probably just have to pick a segment of all these stories to try and tell that story. I would always like to do it like, what's his name? Emp Lemon. Like, you know how Emp Lemon does those series of, like, there'll never ever be another person like this? That's how I would want to do a Kurosawa video, exactly like that. The Deso Solar. Yeah, that one. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, before Rashomon, he's not that well known, but I do have his autobiography, so I know exactly what he was doing before, like, 1950. 1950 was, like, the point where Kurosawa's career started, like, picking up for him. He didn't write after that for whatever reason, but I'm sure there's a lot of information all over the place. Probably someone else has written about it, but he had an autobiographical book that he did with his translator, which went from, like, his young boyhood to 1950. I have read some of it. The unfortunate side of that book is a lot of his younger years is, like, some of it's kind of interesting, but a lot of his younger years stuff is really fucking boring. It's just not that interesting. It's just, like, very day-to-day mundanities. Some of it is, like, interesting from the insight of, like, what the boy was like how he was very, like... Kurosawa describes himself as a very unlike remarkable child. Kind of meek, not very bright. In fact, he seemed to think he was, like, handicapped until he was of a certain age. He seemed to struggle a lot. He had, like, parents and maybe a grandfather very big into, like, the samurai stuff. And he did a lot of, like kendo, but I think he was kind of frustrated by it all, generally, like, going out in the cold and such, and how he was very frustrated by the school system. Just, like, there's a lot of factors there for him that seem to really, really change his outlook. But a lot of that early stuff is not what I'm interested in, but some of it can be worth looking into. Yeah, I own Ran and Kagemusha as well, and I also own, like, a samurai collection of, like, some of his big samurai films from, like, that period between 1950 and, what would we say, 1965 or something like that. There's a period of, like, there's a lot of, like, his most famous samurai style films all came out during that area, and I own most of those. Like, I own from Rashomon, I own Rashomon to, like, Seven Samurai, to Yojimbo, Sanjuro, Throne of Blood, Hidden Fortress. I own all those. Yeah, and yeah, I do watch Oni plays. I like Oni. I've been watching Oni since I was, like, 14, I don't know. Like, when he was an animator, I used to know Oni when he was an animator back in the day. It was a long time ago, and I do walk into watching from time to time, but his admiration for the Tequatig or the Channel Awesome does bring a nostalgia to me at the time where I used to watch a lot of that stuff. But I remember a lot of the time being kind of bored and disinterested, even though I did compulsively watch it all just for the sake of doing something after school. But in retrospect, I don't know if I was enjoying most of my watching. Some of it I did, but it was a real mixed bag, I suppose. But just thinking back to those days, especially, I mean, I really like watching Spoonie. Linkara. I've watched a lot of Linkara, to be fair, but I don't know. He's a very particular flavour of person, isn't he? When you're the light bringer, there's not much else. I can't even. I don't know if I can even do it properly. I think his voice is much deeper than that some of the time. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" No, how would you do a Linkara? It's sort of like, "Don't you say that to me, you son of a bitch. I'll damn let you know that me, the Lightbringer, is the greatest comic book reviewer of all time." Where are we at? Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't finished the Crone illustration because my wrist is all like, what would you call it? My wrist is a little bit busted up. I've got probably carpal tunnel, tinnitus, maybe both at the same time. Yeah, my right arm not feeling great right now. I need to like rest it over the next couple of days and not do much to it so I can hopefully actually use it for stuff. It's basically losing the strength in it, which is a really bad sign. Like I can barely hold stuff with it, which is yeah, just the same that it's really not in a good state. So I've been trying to like really lower the amount of usage I've been doing with it today. If I do any drawing today, it'll be with my left hand for the funnies. But when I get my right hand back, I'll probably finish the Crone illustration. Maybe on stream as well, just because it's kind of like more of a downtime thing. And I know a little bit of Japanese, but I unfortunately am not that fluent. Though I'm attempting on the regular to try and learn some. I do my best to do a bit here and there. Unfortunately, right now I was learning kanji, and to learn kanji, they recommend you write it all down. And because my hands were busted, I cannot write it down right now. So it's sort of taken a bit of a hit on me actually learning it properly. But I know a little bit here and there. Let's have a look where we're on. It's funny how the golden age of Japanese cinema started almost at the same time as the manga one. Well, realistically, that's because they both happened during the post-war time, just after the Americans left, right? Both of these times happened at the same sort of time where these industries were like developing. They were developing sort of during the American occupation, but as soon as the Americans left, they were given a lot more freedom for what they can produce and what they couldn't produce. So as soon as they're gone, you're going to see a lot of development in those fields. Industrialization of Japan was a big deal, and of course, American occupation and interventionism involved a lot of like helping that happen with the money and etc. etc. But like yeah, the industrialization of Japan happened first and foremost with things like printing presses, as well as artistic things like movies and such. And there's probably a lot more complicated areas to it, which I would have to read into more. But that's my general gist of the time that, like, such is the case of most post-war situations. A lot of them started booming after the Americans left, and the country was healing and industrializing. Silent Japanese cinema is absolutely overlooked, and I think a lot of the issue with, generally with most Japanese stuff, even though, like, especially the last couple of years, it's a lot easier to buy Japanese films for me personally, but they are quite pricey, so it kind of, they're targeting a very specific clientele, and I'm probably one of them because of my job. But like, it's a lot easier to get them than it used to be, but there's still plenty of films that are really hard to get. In fact, there's a particular film I've always been looking for, which is one of the classic samurai films that like apparently inspired Kurosawa. I believe it's called like Paper Balloons or something along those lines. It came out in like 1940, but even before then, like, yeah, a lot of Japanese silent films, God, I don't even know where you'd find them. Is there like an archive online or something? Is there like a YouTube channel? Like, is there would they be releasing this on collection? I think most of it would probably be public domain by now, if that's true. But where would you even find it? I imagine like there's probably a whole treasure trove of silent Japanese film that would be worth discussing in the scholar sense, I'm sure. All right, Scarlett. I love your videos. I just wanted to tell you the quality of your piece is much appreciated. I appreciate the comment, Scarlett. I thank you for your watching and your nice comments. It's cool. There'll be a new video coming out. Probably 2 new ones coming out in this November. I'm supposed to be doing a collab maybe. We'll see how that goes. But one of the videos is already done, but I won't release it until like the proper day. And that's on my Patreon right now, which is Legend of Hey, Chinese animation. Cool topic to look into. Chinese animation has came a long way in the last couple of years. There's definitely a change within the country. 2D animation especially, becoming like much more of a powerhouse than it used to be. and 3D as well. To be fair, Niza 2019 film from China became like the biggest grossing animated film in China of all time, and it made about $800 million, something like that, from China alone. I don't even know if it was released anywhere else yet, but Niza did very well, very, very well. And of course, it's a classic myth within the Chinese situation. Cameron, I also watched a lot of mindlessly watched a lot of Nostalgia Critic for many years. Looking with a critical eye, and I have watched a couple just in like retrospect to see if they held up or if I enjoyed it still, and not at all. But you know, I do appreciate the times I spent with it, at least. I don't know who Sean Connery is in this situation. I always wondered what Japan would have been like if America never intervened after or during World War II. Well, that would depend. Like, are you still seeing Japan losing the war, or are they winning the war? Because if America didn't like intervene after they lost the war, then Japan would have like crumbled, and it probably fell to the communist state of China or of Korea, one of those two. That's probably what would have happened. Oh, Cat is here. Yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't have been great for them if Japan won the war. It would not have been great for the people they took over. Generally, it wouldn't have been great all over. I don't know. It's too much of a hypothetical. Too much stuff could have happened. Humanity in Paper Balloons is the film I was thinking of. I think a lot of people in the English sphere have seen Channel Awesome. I think one of the funniest things about the Channel Awesome situation, from what I recall, is right. Gotta give a shout out to Guru Larry, right? Guru Larry. He used to be on British TV. Guru Larry used to be on Europe Screw Attack, I believe, and then at one point he ended up on That Guy with the Glasses. Though when they were having their big old scandal, Guru Larry like let out that like. Cat wants to come in. Coming in? Hey, Cat. What do you want? You want to sit up here? Yeah, Guru Larry let out his whole. Oh, come on, shush. Go, come on. Come up and shut up. Come on. Come on. No, knock the camera over. Jesus Christ. What was I saying? Yeah, so Guru Larry, his laments of the Channel Awesome situation, where they never invited him to any of their terrible spin-off films, even though he'd been on the channel like longer than most people. They never talked to him. They never communicated with him. I think they kicked him off at one point because he didn't release enough videos for their quota, and then they put him back on there later on. And I think he's the only person that's still in like the channel selection of Channel Awesome, because he's the only one that decided not to leave just for the sake of like the joke. And Guru Larry's are always like, "Hello you, hello you." How do you do Guru Larry? It's like, "Hello you, it's me, Guru Larry. Top 10 things I did to Peter Molyneux's mailbox. Number 1, I took a pee in the mailbox." There you go. Yeah, I love Guru Larry. He's still great. I think he might subscribe to my channel. I remember seeing that at one point, that he might be a subscriber. I don't know if he actually watches any of my content. He may have just seen one of my videos about like Katamari or something. But I will always appreciate Guru Larry for the years of entertainment, especially on British television. And I still watch him to this day. He's like one of the few people from that era where I still very much enjoy watching. But yeah, if anyone was wondering, Humanity in Paper Balloons is the 1940-esque samurai film that was quite influential, especially to people like Kurosawa. Cat does want a pet, but it actually hurts my hand. Oh my god, it hurts my hand. I mean, actually, to be fair, some of his top 11s, probably, I haven't watched any of them for years, but I think the top 11s weren't like a bad idea of a series. They're at least like good recommendations, but I, I don't necessarily agree with Doug's perspective a lot of the time. But I suppose they still could be. I mean, they're a top 10 list. It's hard to fuck up a top 10 list. I mean, come on. I mean, unless you watch Mojo, it's pretty hard to mess up a top 10 list. I mean, generally, I think most people would probably agree who aren't like huge fans of Nostalgia Critic, or even who are, that like when he's not being the Nostalgia Critic, he can be pretty like casual and like likable in a way. Like he can be quite like amicable when he's just talking off the cuff and being a bit more casual. I mean, he obviously knows, he's been doing it long enough that he can talk the talk and he can sort of eloquent his points. Even if I don't necessarily, again, agree with a lot of his reasoning, it's always a little bit strange. But top 10, I think his top 10, like Batman the Animated Series episodes was pretty cool. Cartoons from the 90s, was it? That was right. I don't know. It's been years since I've watched these lists. Maybe they're not any good, but they're okay. Oh my god, Guru Larry was on TV in Argentina. That's amazing. Oh my god, that's so good. Was he? Was it subtitled, or was it just Guru Larry as he is? Oh, I love that idea. That he's just on TV everywhere, and everyone just knows Guru Larry. Just like the idea that you turn on the TV and it's like top 10 things Guru Larry did today. Number 1, I woke up. Number 2, I made fun of Peter Molyneux on Twitter. Just on TV everywhere. The Guru Larry Hour. Just I'd watch it. The M and Stephen, that's just part of my name, Stephen. I mean, realistically, it's probably from second name, basically. It's just a shortening of like my name, effectively mashing them together. I never watched Daria. Very 90s show, right? I haven't seen it myself. I think I watched like an episode of it once upon a time. Seems like it's a fine show. It's well remembered. It's well liked, isn't it? I don't know if that's weird that he likes that show the most. I don't know. He seems like a guy who grew up in the 90s, watched a lot of cartoons, so it wouldn't surprise me that he liked that show. Yeah, I don't fuck around. This is my water. This is my I'm kind of tired. I was tired of using like a bad cup, like a tiny, kind of like a big cup that's kind of a bit shit. So I decided to buy a big old gallon of water, so I don't have to run up and down the stairs to refill this if I stream for a couple hours at a time, or I don't know, if I just want to keep drinking without moving. So I made sure I've got the biggest, even though I didn't even fill this all the whole way, but it's actually, I'm already running out. I should have filled it the whole way. Oh, subtitled. Oh my god. I would be curious how they like. I would be curious how you would adjust Guru Larry's like his punnage, because a lot of the stuff Guru does, he kind of does this sort of very British. What do you call them? Like they're a bit pun, or like syllable. I mean, he kind of does these like silly metaphors and wordplay, doesn't he? These top 10 things that playing catastrophes, like these, what would you call them? These super strutters, these buxom blowhards, these Malachi Melissus Malcolms. I don't know. I'm just making up words now. These bloody buttons, these bloated bailouts. Yeah, that was what you'd say. I'd be curious to see how you'd adapt that in a language, but I don't know. Guru Larry's a funny guy. Oh, cat wants to leave already. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Fine, you can leave. You can leave. Just don't come back screaming in like 10 seconds. Have I seen Superman 1941? Is that the animated one? Yeah, I've seen that one. I mean, I've seen the 1940. I guess it went for like a couple years, didn't it? Yeah, I've seen most of that stuff. It used to all be on like YouTube. I mean, it might still be. There used to be like a... Back in the day in old YouTube, they used to have a place where they just had public domain like movies on YouTube, and you could just click on them all. And there'd be like a list of things you could just watch from like public domain or free movies that YouTube happened to just have on them. I think they might have got rid of that service, but maybe it still exists in some way. Like you probably just can type it in. Like if you just type Superman 1940 into YouTube, you could probably just find the whole collection. I actually own a lot of them on DVD. They came with some of my Superman DVDs, so I might have a fair few of the shorts just like as is. I don't know if I have all of them though. That would be a lot of Irish coffee in here. But yeah, I mean it's nothing stopping you. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have talked about Superman 1940. It was a very influential short collection of animations. I mean, they generally would say that was one of the inspirations for Batman the Animated Series in style and aesthetic, and it's a really cool little show. Like it's a lot of fun. I think the 90s Superman show is probably actually better, if I'm honest. Like for like a consistent show that you'd want to watch. But I think the shorts are perfectly fun and like worth watching on their own. Like they're very well made, epics in their own right. Nice, short, quick to the point sort of stuff. Some are better than others, I guess, but you know, it's all good fun. Yeah, I know. Okay, so Fleischer Superman's still on YouTube supposedly. So yeah, go watch the Fleischer Superman cartoons if you want to get an idea. I mean, I was always quite a big Superman fan. More so in my later years. I didn't really get it when I was younger, but these days I'm definitely more into it. Especially like after I read All Star Superman at like the age of 15 or 16. I think I just kind of clicked with the character and understood what was actually supposed to be going on there. And I mean, I was always a big fan of the animated series of Superman as well, so it wasn't like a huge turn for me. I think as I got older as well, I really learnt to like love the first Superman film. The second film's okay, but I definitely think the first film is kind of like in its own league in just like what it does. It very much is like the formula for superhero films. I don't think it's changed much from that film. And I think they did it almost like the best you could do it in that situation the first time around. Like, it's hard to say that anyone could capture Superman quite like that film does. In like, even that in the ways that it like reconstructs the narrative to actually change the lore of Superman. Like there's some stuff that the movie did before anyone else did it. And they just changed it forever because it was popular. Yeah, I mean a lot of the like the Fleischer Superman cartoons obviously had quite big budgets for their time, as well as like they were doing a lot of rotoscoping and they were using a lot of Fleischer techniques. I think they were definitely pushing the rotoscoping to the max for the time period of what they could get away with, because obviously it's not all rotoscope. They sort of use it here and there. There's some stuff you couldn't do that with, so they're adjusting the frames as they go. But like it's a very polished bunch of cartoons, but they're quite short. I think the budgets were generally quite large. The teams were effectively there. I mean, it's Superman. Like even back then, I mean, I have a History of Superman book somewhere. I've got it somewhere, I swear. But yeah, I have a book on the history of Superman, and like Superman like blew up like from the beginning of its time, and like, I think it was 38. Like those cartoons came out a couple years after it, but like it really became like such an explosive phenomenon like no other. The kind of sales it was doing were basically unreal for its time, and probably even now. I mean, I don't comic books don't sell anymore in the way they used to. But yeah, Superman was insanely popular. There was a radio show afterwards. The radio show created like Kryptonite, if I recall, and the animated series itself, like that one from the 40s, like it all came together in such a fast, momentum way. There were some like serials, like in black and white, if I recall, like TV. Well, I guess TV wasn't big then, was it? And TV wasn't even a thing. But just all these different like factors of Superman became this multimedia giant very fast, and I think the animated series was, well, the animated shorts that Fleischer did was just another factor in that really solidified the character. Like, it's one thing to see him in comic books, but to see him actually move like a super person would, I think really made that sell. Oh, don't drop the water. Oh, yeah, that was an old Captain Christian video, Superman Golden Age of Animation. Captain Christian's very stylish. I used to like his videos. I think he needs to source a bit better, though. In my experience, I would prefer to see where he's actually sourcing a lot of his information from, because sometimes he doesn't really link that very well. But, Superman's a very interesting facet of history and culture, in ways that usually don't get explored properly. I mean, generally the joke that goes around is like, especially nowadays, is that you've got this character that was created by these two immigrants who in his early days was a bit more rough around his edges and had these like socialist policies and like fought for the common people. That was kind of like a Superman's thing right at the beginning. It was a little bit different of a character than he sort of became, but a lot of those sort of elements of the character and that sort of like fighting for the right of the common people against corruption of like rich established people, while also being an immigrant from another country in a very much way that like the creators were, like a lot of these factors about Superman fighting for truth, justice, and I guess it became the American way, but just he's fighting for the people's rights against the corruption. The establishment of what a true man could be. Just like complete empathy and like idea of like bringing the people up to his level. All these sort of like factors that like in dire times would seem to, you'd expect them to sort of like take advantage of, but all the movies they've done of Superman have been so dour and like brooding of late. They've never quite really captured back into those elements of the character that made him popular to begin with. Yeah, Grant Morrison's a great writer. Well, at times he's a little bit wacky. He's a little wacky, but I like the stuff he wrote. I like some of his Batman stuff as well. But yeah, Superman stuff especially, I think he really understood the character. I've actually read a bit of Secret Identity as well. That's one of the classic Superman comics. Is that the one where the kid becomes Superman in real life? I think that's Secret Identity. Shio. Is it Shio? I mean, I've done actually some animation. Like, if you go back far enough on my channel, like, I've done animated short bits and pieces here and there. With my wrist and the situation it is, I'm probably not going to be focusing too much on like heavy animation in the future. Though a lot of my projects do involve me drawing and animating stuff in small quantities. Maybe in the far future, I could see myself doing some more animated shorts again, if I can get down like. If I suddenly started getting down like such a structure, like if I had my timetable, like if I had a timetable and like I had plans, everything was going very well with the channel, and I could like dedicate like a day a week to like doing an animated short, just because that's something I want to do in the future, and like I'm in the health and the ability to do it. I would totally do more shorts in the future. I have pondered the idea for a long time. Like, there are little ideas going around my head, but I think it's really hard to focus on that stuff from like it's just so all encompassing to do something like that. Like, even to like think, what would you even make? But maybe one day I will again. Maybe one day I'll do a proper thing. Not against it, but you know, has to be the right time. Yeah, I mean, that's something with Captain Christian. I don't know if this always happened, but I think there was certainly videos where he didn't do a great job of citing where he was getting his information from, which I do tend to think it's a little bit weird when it comes to this sort of stuff when you're making a video that's like about something like this. Like if you're making a story about Superman, I think it's worthwhile to like cite that, hey, here's some more things you could watch afterwards, you know. I don't know if most people think of it that way, but I usually do. In terms of like, if I were to learn more about the golden age of Superman animation comics, like, did he watch a documentary? Did he read the book I read on like the history of Superman? Did he have like a DVD that had like a behind the scenes kind of look into all this stuff, or did he read a specific book on it? Like, was it a book on like the Fleischers? There's like so many like where did it come from? Where is this information from? Is it even correct? Is it just hearsay? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've heard Secret Identity is a pretty good Superman story. There's a lot of fun ones out there. Generally, I think that, in my experience, out of the ones I have, definitely All Star is the one that I think I've enjoyed the most. Some of the other ones I've read are very hit and miss. A lot of the 90s ones I wasn't huge on. I think Birthright is a pretty nice little origin story. Like, Birthright's a fine little comic. I don't think it's like amazing by any stretch, but Birthright is a fun little story. Kingdom Come is a fine what if, but I wouldn't define the character by it. Actually, Alan Moore's video, that's to be fair, Alan Moore's comic, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, is actually a very classic and fun Superman story. There's like 2 of them in there, if I recall. Let's just get okay. Yeah, I don't know, like, I think it's a bit questionable when it comes to citing stuff that, like, at least as someone who makes a lot of videos, it's a lot easier for me if people conveniently cite where they get all their information from, just in case, like, I'm probably watching them because I'm looking for sources for information. Like, I don't really like sourcing other videos unless they're first-hand information. Like, I wouldn't like to source someone else's video on a topic unless specifically I think their opinion is what I'm sourcing, or if I want to put in further reading. Like, if I think it's an entertaining video for people to watch, I would cite it in that way, but I probably wouldn't cite it for information unless it was first-hand. What I'd usually do then is look for what they're citing, what their sources are, where their information came from, and then do more research that way, like that path. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard Superman for All Seasons is a pretty good read. I actually need to read it myself. I think I'd really like it. Superman. Alright, so the Superman is a kind of a difficult character to write. He's full of corny ideas that I kind of annoyed by. That I feel kind of annoyed by for some people, including myself. Depends what you mean by corny ideas. I mean, I think he's a corny character, but I think you can sell that through authenticity. I don't really think him being overpowered is actually an issue at all, because what makes a great Superman story is not him punching people. I think this is where people misconstrue what, like, the premise of a Superman story is. A premise of a Superman story is not about punching a guy harder than something else. The idea of Superman is that he's ultimately an empathetic character who doesn't want to fight these people. Generally, what makes a great Superman story is the sci-fi story that surrounds it, and, like, the concepts that he's fighting with from a philosophical philosophy angle slash sci-fi what if angle. It's those factors that what make Superman an interesting story. If you really don't want Superman to be overpowered, like, you can probably just nerf him a little bit. Like, I mean, there are writers, there are different versions of the character that aren't necessarily as all-powerful, but I don't really think that's the issue. You can always make Superman fight someone stronger, or you can make the context of his fight be not one about brawn but about brains. That's where Superman is at its most interesting, when he has to make hard decisions about what's actually going on in the in a situation. Like, that is, to me, what makes a story. I'm not interested in watching Superman punch people. Like, that's a false dichotomy. Like, Dark Knight Returns is not Superman in any sense. It's like a parody of Superman. Effectively, the idea of Superman if he was a corruptible force that Batman could punch into the floor, I guess. But, like, that's not what makes for good content when it comes to a Superman story. Yeah, someone's mentioning it's like the whatever happened to Superman, what happened to the Man of the World, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow is quite an insane story. Yeah, it's very Neon Silver Age. Like, it wears those sort of wacky ideas on its sleeve, which I think is the whole point of why Alan Moore wrote it that way. I think he likes that sort of stuff. If you want a more pared back Superman, probably the animated series. Actually, I believe some of the animated series recontextualize some of those stories. I'm pretty sure For the Man Who Has Everything is actually an episode in Justice League, or one of them. I can't remember which series it was. One of the stories, literally, they just do the comic book. But yeah, like, I'm not against the more wacky Silver Age stuff. I think it does lead to an energy and character of within itself. Oh, Dragon55, thank you. I appreciate the nice comments. I hope you have a good day. I'll keep making videos. That's the plan. Yeah, also that's a good one, Cameron. The battles in Superman are not physical, but they are moral battles. That is absolutely true. That's what it tends to be about. Like, it's that concept. Like, I don't think Superman punching people was ever a very interesting way to finish one of his stories. It should always be more about, like, the question of what he should do, opposed to, like, what is done. You know, like, I'm sure they'd put a Superman into a situation where it'd be like the cart analogy, you know, where you'd have two tracks and it'd be like Superman has to pull a lever, and one level will kill one person and one level will kill 1,000 people, and Superman has to find a way to kill nobody. But that's the kind of situation usually you would throw the character into. And I think that optimism is somewhat enjoyable. Empathy, I think there's something in that that is worthwhile in a way that you don't necessarily always see in these characters. Beyond Ghibli, oh, that's Joe. I actually know him. I know Beyond Ghibli. He's a nice guy. Nice guy. Yeah, I like him. He's a good guy. That Beyond Ghibli. He's a good guy. He's another British guy. You know, we used to be like the same size once upon a time. We used to be quite close in, like, numbers and stuff, and we started about the same time. But now he's beyond me. That's fucking stupid. Yeah, he's rocketed to what, like 100 and something K, 120K or something ridiculous like that. He's doing well. He just did a video on Vampire Hunter D, if I remember right. I might be doing a video on Vampire Hunter D in December. A lot more lax, a lot more laid back, but I may even mention his video in my video, so, you know, cool. Yeah, like, I think one of the issues, and this is the thing with Superman, right? I think one of the issues with Superman's stories is that the one that necessarily defined a lot of Superman's mythos, even now more so because of, like, how the movies treated it recently, is Death of Superman. Death of Superman isn't actually really a great great read. It's fine. It's popcorn. Like reading it can be quite fun. It's like pretty well drawn. Like it's kind of just like a what if Superman fought someone that like is stronger than him kind of like situation, but it's not like a great Superman story. It's not a great end to Superman. Like if any story should be the death of Superman, I think that All Star Superman should be the death of Superman. That is how you end a character's legacy. But Death of Superman is just like, what if big dumb grey guy punches Superman real hard and he dies? That's just the story. I mean, there's like all this lore about who Doomsday is and all this dumb shit, but it is like the quintessential 90s comic in that facture. And you know, as far as that dumb kind of story goes, it's fine. It's fine. Return of Superman is a much worse story. Return of Superman is boring and I don't like it. And it's just too long and it's too convoluted. There's all these other random characters they introduce and it's all kind of just hokey, like all publicity, like who's going to be Superman? And it's like no one's going to be Superman. Superman's going to be Superman. It's just a complete farce of a story. But yeah, I think unfortunately Death of Superman defined a lot of what Superman stories would become, especially in popular culture. Later on, if it be the animated versions of these stories or if it be the actual movies themselves, I felt compelled to adapt these moments. Yeah, I read a little bit of the New 52 Superman. Someone's mentioned it in the chat. I read a little bit of it. Didn't like it. Didn't like the New 52 version of the character. I think actually Grant Morrison was writing that character, I think, at the time. It's just, I didn't really like the take on it. I think there was some interesting concepts there, but I just don't think they really nailed down like the real feeling of the character, which I probably wouldn't put on Grant. I'm sure it was more of an editor problem necessarily, or just like the direction they were trying to take the character in just didn't really work, I suppose. I don't know. It is what it is, you know? It didn't work out. They continued to do other stuff. I hear there's some of the newer comic books after that, like the Scott Snyder ones. I heard Scott Snyder did a good job with Superman. Didn't read it myself, though, so I can't verify that. Yeah, yeah. So Bloodlust maybe in December there may be videos on both of. Well, at the same time, it'll be the same video, just on Vampire Hunter D in general. I watched them both actually yesterday, again for like the first time in a while, and yeah, it was cool. Bloodlust is still great, still like a wonderful story, still a wonderful movie in all the ways that matter. Very visually arresting. And I think it actually does say a lot about the mythos of Vampire Hunter D. I think it really like widens that scope in a way that like the first movie only alludes to. Normal genetic Lazenby. Do you think that an older Superman who failed because he always tried to find a solution where no one gets hurt could be more calculated and less influenced by empathy in his actions? Maybe, but I don't really want to. I don't necessarily want to see a Superman that necessarily doesn't hit by his ideals. I think there is a concept of being too idealistic in reality, right? The thing is that Superman is beyond reality. I think that's really the premise of like his stories in general. Even in the movie, like the idea was that he could break time, space, and reality. And let's not get into this Doug Walker bollocks where it's like the cinema sins like, actually, if you moved the world backwards and backwards, your time wouldn't go backwards. That's not the point of the scene. It's just a visualization of that idea. Everyone would fly off the earth if you moved the world this way. No, it's a visual representation of him moving back time. The idea is that he is a godly man that can defy the laws of physics itself and turn back time and change reality. Because Superman is beyond man, he is very much a god and can break the rules of man. And that sort of reality that he was struggling was between him being a man and a god. And yeah, it's complicated, you know, there's stuff going on there, but like, realistically, it really depends on what angle you want to take Superman. If you want to take Superman in like the world is a complicated place and like being Superman, that world is difficult. I still believe that Superman could do, you know, I mean, you know, if technically Superman lived in the real world, like, it would be very complicated and very nightmarish in terms of geopolitical politics and mess. But like, Superman could still, in theory, do a lot of like potential greatness for the whole world. As a person, like, I don't think there's any way you could not dispute like having a man who has literally godlike powers would not be able to benefit if he was to stick by his ultimate ideals. He would not be able to make the world a better place in a lot of ways. And I think those factors are some of the more fascinating for me in a more like Star Trek way, where like the idea of building a better future is something I want to see more in media than like these dystopian concepts where characters who are idealistic like fail and become like brooding killers. I'm far more interested in watching the struggle of trying to build a better world than the idea that the better world is impossible. I think that's what the world really needs right now anyway. Yeah, I could really imagine the death of Superman was an editorial deal because it was a huge publicity stunt. But I mean, I think as far as publicity stunts go, the death of Superman was fine. Like, it's a fine read. It's not one of the greatest stories ever, but like, I think it was drawn well. And if as far as dumb stories like that go, I can give it a pass. White Mint, you're late. I appreciate you coming in. I hope you have a nice time going to sleep, and have a good dreams. I'll be around again at some point, I'm sure. I would have started a lot earlier if I could get everything working, but I had huge technical issues. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, you discovered my channel diving through Joe's Twitter. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I think he did retweet one of my videos once upon a time, back when we were chatting. Back, this is going back years, but yeah, we still talk from time to time. I know he watched my Satoshi Kon video. He said he really liked it. So yeah, we're on good good basis. He told me he may or may not be making a video on Kon in the future. Maybe not. That's probably secret information, so I won't specify too much. But maybe look forward to that. I mean, his name's O'Connell, right? I assume like his family may be Scottish. O'Connell? I don't know. That might be. I mean, my family's Irish. Like, my descendants are Irish. Half my family is Irish. I assume he might be maybe. I don't know. I don't know if is O'Connell Irish or Scottish. I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, Bloodlust is great, everyone. Everyone should watch Bloodlust. It's a really great movie. Yeah, Alan Moore wrote What Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. The newer Rebirth stuff is kind of good. It changes stuff up quite a bit with him being a father now. Yeah, I mean, that could be a fun read. He did become a father. I think there's a story called Last Son of Krypton or something along those lines, which was supposedly written by people who wrote some of the movies or something along those lines, where he first gains a son. I think I've heard that's pretty good, but I haven't read it myself. Doug Walker, yeah, Doug Walker's classic. I don't understand. Why is the world going backwards? What could that mean? Yeah, that doesn't work in reality. Yeah, neither does a flying man, Doug. Neither does a flying man. Neither does a man that shoot lasers out of his eyes. Like, come on. Like, work with me here. Like, work with me on the concepts of what you're watching on the screen. It doesn't matter if you can do that in reality or not. Like, you can't do a lot of things in reality when you're Superman. Like, you know, you can't also make people, like, forget what you did by kissing them, too. I mean, that's also a fake power. People don't come from, like, planets called Krypton, either. I mean, it's wild, I know. Oh, okay, so we're both Irish brethrens, then. Okay, fair enough. The new 52 Superman may have died. That's true. He may have. I didn't read enough to get that far. I wasn't really feeling it at the time, but yeah, they probably just killed him off to get rid of him to make it less complicated for everyone involved. Which, you know, fair enough. Fair enough. Upcoming videos, Legend of Hay. That's already out. That's already ready for the patrons. You can go on patreon.com/Steve M with maybe... I probably have like 5 M's, so it's STEVEMMMMM. That's probably what it is. Yeah, there's going to be a version of it up there. In the coming days, there might be a version for dollar patrons, so if you give me $1, I'll give you a new video before November 7th. It's coming out on November 7th because the movie I'm talking about is coming out in Japan in November 7th, but it's been out in China for over a year. And I'm hoping that because it came out in Japan on November the 7th, we may get some more people talking about it who are more interested in like the Japanese animation landscape. That is the plan. So I'm going to release it on the proper day so people will actually hopefully watch the video. But I'm also going to be working on some other stuff around music, and also one of them might be a collab. We'll see how that goes because it's still in the works and I don't know how it's going to be, but like in November there's going to be those maybe 3 videos, potentially 3 videos with Legend of Hay, which is already done, and maybe a couple collab music videos. And then from there there's going to be some big stuff happening in December. Oh, classic. Yeah, Doug, don't get the point, Walker. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Classic Doug, right? Wait, you mean Superman can fly? I don't get it. People can't fly. Well, how does no one understand that he's Superman? I don't understand. Like, he looks just like him. Why does no one get it? He's just unassuming, you know. It's just the irony of comic books, I'm sure. Like, come on. Yeah, Hay, Legend of Hay, the actual like web series is also really good. In fact, I think the web series may even be better than the film, but I think you can watch both of them and still have a perfectly nice time. But I do actually think the web series just has like a bigger, wider scope because it has more time on its hands. Even though it's like a smaller affair at first, I do think there's a lot of great stuff that the web series does that the film can't do, and there's also great stuff the film can do that the web series can't. In that, like, the movie's just so big, it's so polished, and it has crazy action set pieces that the web series couldn't really compete with in the same way. Yeah, see, the issue I seem to feel with, like, if we're to say about Superman in, like, the real world situation, like, the Superman doesn't exist in the real world. And when you try and do those kind of stories, they will end up being Watchmen. And, like, I think someone just mentioned The Boys in, I've heard The Boys is good. I have family members that watch The Boys and enjoy it. I've watched little bits of it. It seems like it's a good time. I believe it's a Mark Millar comic book that's been adapted. Mark Millar likes to write really fucking edgy comic books, and sometimes he writes Superman good. That's Mark Millar's experience for me. He writes sometimes these really edgy comic books, and then sometimes writes Superman good. He wrote like the animated comic books, the animated Superman comic books for a while, and a lot of those are quite fun and good. He wrote Red Sun as well, which is a little bit edgy, but I think it's still a fun little story. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite or anything, but I think Red Sun is perfectly valid as a Superman story. Just as a spin-off, though. It's just a spin-off, guys. But yeah, like, the issue with putting Superman in the real world is that he doesn't live in the real world. And if you start trying to muddy it down with geopolitical stuff, I think it really gets away from what the character is about. Not like you couldn't do it, it's just it can get really messy. And, like, the whole point of a superhero... Even this is something that Frank Miller once said himself. Like, you don't read superhero comics to see the sweat patches under Superman's, like, you know... under his muscles, you know. You don't want to see the sweat patches. Like, you read these stories for a very specific purpose of, like, what they're about. Like I think that it's worth keeping that sort of like elevation, and trying to make it a little too real can kind of mess it up when you get a little stranger. Because yeah, you can't really have your cake and eat it, because superheroes are inherently like an abstract concept that can't function in the real world. Okay, let's see. How we all doing, everyone? Oh, was it Gareth? Was it Gareth Ennis that wrote The Boys? My apologies. I had assumed Mark Miller had wrote it. Maybe I'm conflating them. Maybe there's two separate stories I'm mixing up here. But yeah, Gareth Ennis is a pretty fun little writer, right? He wrote a lot of stuff. Pretty sure I've. Wait a minute. Let me Google it just to make sure here. I swear I've written a lot of. I swear I've read a fair bit of Gareth Ellis. Oh yeah, so yeah, he wrote The Boys. Okay, my mistake. I had assumed it was Mark Miller. Maybe Mark Miller wrote something else I've read. He read. He's Judge Dredd writer. Judge Dredd. The Preacher. I've read some of his Preacher. Hellblazer. Yeah, I've read Hellblazer, Preacher from Garth Ennis. Ennis. Yeah, Garth Ennis. Yeah, I've read some. I think he writes. I like the way he writes stuff. Oh yeah, the Red Sun comic book sucks at the end. The ending for Red Sun comic book is dumb. It is dumb. The rest of the story is like a fine what if story, though I think other comic books have done the idea a little bit better before. I think it's like, is it Miracle Man? I don't know. There's like a couple comics that have done very similar to Red Sun before Red Sun did it, that have really went into it a little harder. Only seen someone asked about Makoto Shinkai. I've seen like one of his movies. That's about it. I like Kyoto Animation though I haven't seen a lot of their newer stuff. And I haven't seen Thunderbolt Gundam, but I have been watching the original series in passing, but I haven't watched in a while. I was going to do some notes on the original series and all the other Tomino ones for something else, but that's a long time coming. Okay, so yeah, alright, so I guess Garth Ennis's book is actually sucks, but the movie is cool. Oh, I'm sorry, the series seems good. From what I've seen of the series and the recommendations to my family members, it's a good time. I'm pretty sure I've read some of his Preacher back in the day, but it's been a while. How's it going, Daniel? How you doing? I've had some technical issues earlier on. I couldn't get anything to work. It all crashed and burnt, and my camera turned off, and the sound was awful. But now I've fixed everything, and I'm just chilling for a bit. I've just been chilling. I'm drinking from my big old little barrel here, and just getting on with it, just trying to vibe with everything going on. So I've calmed down a little bit. My wrist's not too great. This one probably carpal tunnel. My other wrist's probably on the way to carpal tunnel. Just from a day of not using my right hand. But I did promise I'd do a little bit of drawing, and I may draw some funny character things with my left hand. I will try and draw Superman with my left hand, and that will probably be it. Maybe I'll try and do another character too, but like, I don't know, give me like 10 minutes, I'll do some stretches with this left hand, and maybe I'll do a little bit of drawing with it, and hopefully it will do okay. Let's see if I can actually perform. Okay. Yep, my rest of the little. I'm just gonna do some stretches. Yeah, Hellblazer. Sorry, yeah, Hellblazer, isn't it? Yeah, Hellblazer. A lot of good writers. Hellblazer's a fun comic to read. I've read a bit here and there. It's good. It's a good time. There's lots of comic books are good, guys. Spoiler alert. I know comic books fun. I enjoy. I used to enjoy reading comic books. I don't read as many these days, just because I used to back in the day when I was like in university and college. I used to just borrow all the comic books that the libraries had that I was like part of. And since not being in a university or college, I haven't done that as much. There are like public libraries that have a couple, but generally they don't have as many comic books as I'd like to read. And obviously they're all shut down, or they all shut down for a long time because of COVID. So I haven't been pillaging through libraries of comic books anytime soon. So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, yeah. The wrist issues are definitely part of the career path, unfortunately. Although it's a bit of a shock to me because I'm like about 26, and before this year, I really haven't had any wrist issues as an artist. Just never been a thing. Just never things that have actually like affected my body before. But I guess I'm getting older now, and my body's starting to deteriorate, or I don't know. Maybe I'm doing a lot more work with them, and yeah, it's just there's no end to it all. So maybe I've just slowly deteriorated it. But I've got to be careful now, and I'm doing my stretches for these arms. I've had like a list of stretches to do to keep the tendons looser, and I've been doing them. But to be honest, my right hand is feeling a lot better today since I haven't been using it for everything, but my left hand is feeling awful. Yeah, I'll try not to do too much. Like I said, I'll do it with my left hand because in the end of the day, yeah, in the end of the day, what was I saying? Yeah, yeah. From the end of the day, if my left hand buggers, it doesn't really matter. I don't really use my left hand for much, so it's not a huge deal if my left hand gets a bit funky. But my right hand I use for everything, and it's very important. Like I can't write. I mean, I do. I probably have to start typing again because I think writing scripts by hand is what I've been doing more recently. I think that's really been busting my wrist too, just because it's a lot more effort than typing. At least in my experience, I think that typing is the less active thing for my wrists, or that's how I feel. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I don't know. It just feels like writing is a bit more extreme. Like I can do less copying and pasting and other bits and bobs. So maybe I'll have to start typing more. Maybe I have to buy like an ergonomic keyboard or something. Yeah, try and pull back on like drawing with my right hand. I'm gonna today I'm gonna mess around with my left hand, just for the funny situation. But yeah, I'm gonna have to be very careful with how I use my hands from now on. Um, let's see. Yeah, so like I'm gonna try and be careful with my wrists. How do I think about French localization of anime's impacting of its image? Not really sure, to be honest. Not really sure what I think about French localization. I know that in France, especially since the 70s, like anime's been definitely more commonplace in the country than in other countries in Europe. I think Italy hit with the boom first, but France generally has a very passionate position within the anime sphere, and that also happens to do with a lot of French creators. I know Mobius was a huge fan, and he was a guy back in the 70s, like saying like, guys, you've got to be reading these comic books. You've got to be reading these comics from Japan. They're insane. You've got to read Phoenix. You've got to read Tezuka. Like, this stuff is, like, wild. We need to get this, like, localized in Japan. And if I understand right, manga makes up about 40% of all, like, comic sales. I think it's comic sales in, like, France. It's 40% manga sales, which is not uncommon nowadays. I think manga have very much dominate the landscape of comic books sale-wise because they're a lot easier to buy and they're cheaper. I can't hit the gym if I can't move my wrists, and I'm never going to hit the gym, so that's not happening. But I will try and eat more because I'm pretty bad at eating sometimes. I have tried to eat a little bit more recently. Let's look at refinance. Yeah, I mean the issue with like parody comic books in general. Um, Someone's mentioned this about the boys, like the comic book. It's kind of gory and a bit overzealous, I guess. Yeah, I mean maybe the TV series can be a bit more pulled back. I think this is perhaps the thing with like Devil Lady, like I brought up earlier, that perhaps like Devil Lady the TV series seems to be a bit more like pulled back and like restrained, opposed to the comic book, which seems like it probably isn't as much from what I've read, which isn't much, but it seems a bit more ludicrous. Yeah, I'm 20. I'm in my mid 20s, guys. But yeah, what's this? Artists and musicians both have wrist issues. You've got to meet people even in college with performance-related injuries. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, it sucks. But you got to be careful about this shit. I'm trying to be responsible because I mean I'm young. Like when you're in mid 20s, I don't want to ruin my wrist for the rest of my fucking life. So I'm gonna attempt to be like pull it back a bit and just be careful with my wrist because it's all I got. Without that, I'm kind of fucked. Not even like with editing, like it's so difficult to edit with my left hand just because it's not dominant and it doesn't know how to use the mouse properly. It just becomes really awkward to do. But yeah, just the way you have to use it for everything, it becomes real difficult. So like, yeah, Cameron, I'm getting old. I'm in my mid 20s and I'm already falling apart. Great sign, right? Yeah, I mean, with my wrist buggered, there's no point of working out. That's the way I would look at it right now. Like it's not. It's gonna just make the injuries worse. In future, I don't know. I don't think working out's gonna make the situation any better. To be honest, like I'm already putting enough strain on them from all this other stuff I do with them, with like the art, the writing, the editing, the mouse. The mouse seems to be my ultimate enemy right now. But yeah, that stuff's not doing my wrists any favor. Maybe there's like some small exercises I can do to try and strengthen the tendons so they don't like pinch as much. But it's probably going to be aerobic opposed to like getting buff. I don't think getting buff is going to fix your wrists. I don't think that's going to protect you. I think I've just got to get a lot more flexible and maybe try and strengthen the tendons or whatever you can do. I'm not sure. Peak juvenile energy. I mean, yeah, but like if my wrists don't work anymore, then I can't really be juvenile. Oh, in the documentary, Mobius said that he was a big fan of Lone Wolf and Cub. Yeah, he mentioned a lot of different things. I think he was just reading what was ever popular at the time in the 70s, but I wouldn't be surprised if he loved big Lone Wolf and Cub and Tezuka and whoever else was going around at the time. I'm not sure if he's read like. I know he's read Otomo. I know he's a big fan of Otomo, and he also likes his movies, and he's a big fan of Miyazaki. So he's definitely a fan of like the landscape, but also they're all a fan of him. Like a lot of those manga artists from the 70s, the late 70s, they were hugely inspired by Mobius. The deserts and the line womanship. It's all definitely there. But I mean, he admits himself to be inspired by some of the Japanese artists. So it goes around in circles. He did write a manga once back in the 90s. He like wrote one and got someone else to do the illustrations for it. Really interesting. Yeah, I mean, it may take a long time to recover, unfortunately. But like, there's a lot of stuff I need to do, so it's not like I really have the option to like completely stop doing things. Unfortunately, it's because this is what I do now. This is effectively the career I am in. So I just have to pull the punches effectively and do what I can with my other hand, like try and split the damage, I guess. But yeah, time may take a lot of time to fix myself, and I have to slow down a little bit. And no amount of weightlifting is going to change that, unfortunately. Ratchet Rorschach does very well analytic films about Japanese movies and media, occasionally video games. I mean, the work is part of the existence of what you do, you know? I try to be careful that I don't overwork like Kondo, but I think my wrist is in this position because of the way I act. But I don't know, my work goes up and down. I mean, I try and do what I can on a daily basis. I mean, I just don't think running is going to make my wrist any better, though. I should probably get outside more, though. But, you know, pandemic makes it a little iffy on that front. But yeah, I should probably go for more walks. But I mean, I eat fine. Like, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat bad foods. I don't eat like fatty foods or anything like that. I eat very clean. So it's not like I'm worried about the way I eat. I'm more worried necessarily about recovery time. I've never heard that double-jointed people are better at drawing. Maybe they are. Who knows? I don't think being double-jointed would really make you, at least in my experience, I can't see how that would make you better. Maybe it would make you more flexible. Maybe you could do more that way, but I don't know. I've never heard such a thing. I think a lot of it has to do with hand-eye coordination and time put in, necessarily about like how you were born. But let me just do a couple stretches. Alright. So, I may switch out and see if I can find my tablet for a second. And I'll just practice my left hand. Not my proper hand, my fake hand. My non-dominant hand. I'll find my tablet and maybe I'll just do a couple drawings of my left hand. Just for fun. What's on the floor there? Oh, okay. Something's on the floor there. Now let's see if I can get it in the back. Let's see if I can plug this tablet in the back of my computer, if there's any space for it. Alright, we got it in. Alright, sounds like my my tablet's in. Alright. So before I switch over, I just need to get it up on my I need to get the chat up on my phone so I can actually see if people can still hear me and stuff when I switch over. I'm going to see if it all works out for me. Oh. Oh god, my chat up here is really slow in comparison to this one here. Maybe my chat's like dead or something. I'm seeing a lot of people coming through here. Oh, okay. Someone's called Metis. Metis, thank you for your comments on Mobius. Yeah, and it was Jiro Taniguchi. Yeah, the Mobius manga, and it was called Icarus, that's true. Yeah, Mobius did The Parable, the Silver Surfer comic. Yeah, great comic. Worth getting if you can find a copy, though look for a good one with a good colouring. Jodorowsky and Mobius also made The Inkle, which I have a copy of somewhere around here. I don't know how long the stream will be, to be honest, guys. to be fair, I might cut it short at like 11. For me personally. Yeah, I'm just checking my phone out. Unfortunately, it seems like my web browser's kind of buggered it by the look of it because it's not updating the chat anymore. So lucky I got it on the phone here. So anyway, Rockagan, thank you for coming, and as well as Abdul. I hope you both have a nice night. And yeah, I mean, guys, I'm in pretty okay shape. Like, I'm fine. The issue is more so with my wrists, right? My body is fine, but like exercising my wrists is a different action. Like, those are very specific kind of exercises. Yeah, but like working out is not going to make your wrists any more like not prone to like getting damaged from like overdrawing or carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel is a very specific injury to do with like a type of work that usually involves mousing, being at a desk, editing art, etc., etc. Like you going on runs is not going to make that any better. It's things like stretching, and like there are probably some more aerobic exercises that could make you less prone to injury there, as well as breaks. For me, it's Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, you guys aren't on my own timeline. So for me, it's 10:24. So I'll probably go for another 40 minutes, and I'll mess around with some left-hand drawing. But I just needed to get a chap on my phone, so I knew if the thing just shits the bed or not. Oh fuck. Okay. My phone is also on low battery. Great, fan fucking tastic, isn't it? Nothing wants to work today. All right, I might just I don't know if I can do this. Actually, no, it's fine. My phone should hold through. I'll just put the battery saver on, and when my phone chat dies, unfortunately, I just lose chat, I guess. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so it's 10:25 here. Neptune, thank you very much. I hope you have a good evening, Neptune. I hope your wrists are doing better than mine. But yeah, this should be running. I need to get my headphones on for a second. And I'm going to just switch over to art mode. And I won't use my proper hand. I'll use my other hand, and I'll just mess around with some silly drawings. Oh, by the way, everyone, while we're here, my nephew did a drawing of me last time he saw me. How's that look, everyone? What does everyone think of my nephew's drawing of me? Is it accurate? Do I look like this? Ratchet. Yeah, so the injuries, I'm not sure what they'd specifically be called. They're just wrist injuries, but they're probably going to be either tendinitis or carpal tunnel. That would be my assumptions of what the injuries I have. Haven't went to see a doctor for obvious reasons, because it's the pandemic. I don't really necessarily want to go and see it until if it's really bad. But it's likely to be carpal tunnel, from what I've looked into, from like the booklets I have and such. Carpal tunnel, tinnitus, wrist injury, like the way it feels up there in the thumb area specifically. It's like the pinching of the tendons because of overworking the area. Yeah, I mean his spelling was not his spelling was not on on Techno. Oh hey Gavi, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, everyone. So yeah, my nephew's drawing right there. Unfortunately, the charger I did have is charging my camera right now. I mean, I could go look for another charger and then plug in my phone. But yeah, what I'll do for now. My phone's 14%. Hopefully, I'll stay into for like another half an hour. My phone should last a half an hour. If it doesn't, I'll switch over. Yeah, that's me. I'm the Grand Muffin Ghibli. That's how he knows me. Alright, so now this is going, I'm going to just check if everything's going to switch over to draw mode. And I will be doing some dumb drawings with my left hand to see if I can actually draw with them. That's me, Uncle Yababa. Alright, let's do some more stretching. Oh, that does not feel good on the right arm. I think the tension's really here, so that's probably it's probably carpal tunnel. I can feel the tension really this part of the arm. Like, yeah, when I turn it into a fist, it really stings. Anyway, how's it going, Petsu-chan? Yo, Stephen, sorry to hear about your injuries. Really been enjoying your videos. Oh, thanks from South Africa, yeah. Hope you're having a nice night, and I'll hopefully get better. I'm young. I do heal quickly, so hopefully I'll get better. Yeah, I hope so too, Gabby. I'm hoping you're doing all right. All things considered, I'm sure everyone's feeling like the pinch right now. Oh, I better check. Yeah, I'm going to try and take a break from drawing, but I will be drawing with my left hand today, so it doesn't matter too much. The injury, if I had to assume where the injury came from, I think it's a mixture of things. I may have injured my arm at work a year or so beforehand a little bit. I may have done some partial injury to it back then when I used to have... In my old job, I used to have to lift a lot of heavy boxes, and there were times when I really did some damage to my right arm, and I think I may have weakened the arm because before then I'd never had any issues with it. Also, when you do a lot of animation, yeah, it does really affect the wrist. So when I was doing a lot of rotoscoping for certain projects, I felt it a little bit sore afterwards. But during August, because of the long-term project on Satoshi Kon, and among some other stuff, I had a shit mouse at the time. I'd been playing a high-octane game, like I think it was Doom 2016 on breaks, but like I think that the mixture of having a shit mouse and a bad, maybe like a bad mouse mat as well, while playing that with a bad mouse, I think it did a bit more damage to me because it wasn't really rest after writing. I moved to writing on paper scripts. There's a lot of factors here, like typing, writing, animating, and Doom, I think, all did some damage to the wrist, and unfortunately because of the situation I had to keep making the video, so I had to just do it very carefully, and since August it just hasn't really gotten better. It's had up and downs, but it hasn't really healed properly. That's why I have to really worry about it now, because it just hadn't healed by itself. And mouse, yeah, the mouse didn't help, the drawing probably didn't help, writing didn't help because that does it too. Just generally any like short-term editing doesn't help. Like all these things tend to really hit the wrist area. Archive Mike, you're saying burnout? I would worry about burnout. You probably want to take it slow if you think you're going a little too hard on stuff, because the burnout will hit you further on the long term. If you're feeling a little bit too out there with the project you currently be working on, perhaps look at something else. Perhaps try and find something to divert your attentions a bit for a little bit. But I hope it doesn't go to that, because burnout is not fun for anyone involved. I mean, Cameron, I don't drink, so there's no whiskey in me. Don't worry. There is a Q&A on my channel pipe, so you can look it up. If you just type Q&A into my videos, you'll find one. The thing about visiting a clinic, I may have to do it at some point, but like the numbers in England are spiking really badly, and going to a clinic is probably not the best idea. I could perhaps have a like online Zoom call with a doctor, or like a phone call with one, and talk about it. But I just don't know how much they can do for me right now. I'm doing everything I can really. I'm trying to rest up. I'm doing some stretches. From here, they might try and prescribe me some painkillers. I don't think it's bad enough that they're going to ask me to do a surgery. But if things continue to get bad, I probably will have to talk to a doctor. It's really bad time to do it. And I don't think there's much they can help me with, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to mess around with my left hand, which is not my non-dominant hand. So don't worry, I'm not going to fuck my right hand up right now. I'm going to try not to. And I'm going to switch over. Oh. My phone's just on the thingamajig, but I need to switch over on OBS to a different version. I just realised my camera isn't working on that version. Yeah, I hope it heals too. But we'll see. I'm going to give it some rest for a couple of days. I'm going to not use my right hand for the next... I'm going to try not to use my right hand for the next couple of days, doing anything major. We may lose camera, just because the camera's a little bit messy right now, but I'll see what I can do. I could try and get it back. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? 1 2 1 2 1 2. The audio is going up on my side. I'm hoping it hasn't messed up completely though. I have to wait for my thing to update. It's a bit slow. Can you hear me now? Okay, I sound pretty good on here. Can you hear me now? Okay, so you can hear me. That's good. All right. Grand. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up this one. All right. So what I'm going to do, all right, I'm going to write, no. All right, I'll use my right hand for a second to write left hand drawing. So I'm going to try and draw a character with my left hand to see if I can do it. So we were talking about Superman earlier, so I'm going to try and draw Superman with my left hand, and hopefully it doesn't bugger it up. So, God almighty, let's see, how well can I draw with my non-dominant hand, everyone? Oh my God, well, this is not going good. It's one thing to actually try and draw, and it's another thing to try and draw with the wrong hand on a tablet. Ooh, okay. All right, just a disclaimer: the tablet I have, I don't know if it's actually any good. I just bought it years ago, and it was an old Intuo Wacom from Wacom, and I don't necessarily know. From most sources I've seen, a Wacom is actually not like cost effective in comparison to. You can probably get something for the same ability for cheaper, but I just bought the Intuo at the time because it's the tablet I knew the name of. But I've seen people. I mean, chat can recommend some better tablets if they want. All right, so this character with my left hand is going to be Superman, if I can draw it. I'm going to try. Yeah, I think some people use an iPad to draw, and it seems like they're pretty good if you've got the pen, the Apple Pencil. The Apple Pencil looks pretty legit. I know someone who does the thing, who does the shops. What do you call it, the Apple shop? Uh, yeah, they seem they I if I was looking for something like that, I could probably ask them about it. Interiors are okay, but you could probably find a comparable tablet for cheaper that does about the same. I don't think they're amazing. They're basically the equivalent of a digital paintbrush. I think you can get kind of good at drawing with them if you want to spend the time to learn that way. Though to me, it would be easier to use a pencil. But when you're doing streaming and stuff like this, and in some ways, sometimes, especially with like Clip Studio Paint, which I'm always shilling for, Clip Studio Paint's a really good program, and I think that the brushes in it make it feel that like using a digital pen isn't so bad. My experience usually is that using these sort of programs isn't good. I don't like using them. Yeah, from what I understand, the Apple Pen's pretty good though. If you've already got an iPad anyway, and you I think you get Procreate already in the Apple, right? Is that okay? Someone correct me there. Like, does iPad already come with Procreate already built in? Because Procreate's a really cool program. A couple of my friends who actually are like full-time illustrators use programs like Procreate, and it's got some good brushes. I like the way it looks. All right, this isn't like going the worst, but my left hand is not like negotiating with me at all. Yeah, Soups is a cool dude. He fights monsters from space and isn't afraid of anything. I respect the guy. It's a good man. It's rare to say. This is actually really weird using because my left hand doesn't even know how to hold the pen properly, especially like a digital one. Yeah, I've heard Huon's pretty good if you want to get something comparable. I've heard Huon's a pretty good brand for it. Seems like the people would generally argue that they're basically there's not a huge difference between the tablets. Like Wacom's basically a brand, though. From what I understand, the what's it called? The One tablet. That's kind of one of their newer tablets. It's like a more streamlined video tablet. That one actually looks pretty cool. I like the look of the One tablet. I've heard it's pretty good for what it is. Seems like a really cool compact tablet to be used with video without having to worry about three different like power supplies and all the other dumb stuff. But yeah, Huon's a lot cheaper if you want to look into those. Generally, to me, it's less important about what the tablet you own. It's more important about like just the experience of getting used to drawing. I mean, to me, like you could in theory just buy a scanner, and I used to do this for years, and I still do it. Like you can buy a scanner for like 10, 20, 50 quid, depending, like a scanner and a printer together, which you'll want anyway. And then you could just scan in all your art that you draw on with a piece of paper and a pencil. The most expensive programs are generally just trying to emulate the feeling of drawing with a pencil and on a piece of paper. Though you do obviously get a lot of benefits while drawing digitally that you can't draw with in real life. But if you can draw your sketch on pencil and you're fine with drawing in pencil or pen, you could just scan it in and then mess with it more online on your computer, however that be. When I used to teach at a university, that's kind of what we told a lot of the more traditional kids to do. A lot of the older teachers would tell you as well. I mean, they get very particular about this, where they say like, well, when they went to university, there wasn't actually a Photoshop. So like, if they fucked up their drawing, they literally had to like carve the mistake out of it and do it, which is just not the case anymore. So they try and get kids that aren't even that like digital to learn how to use layers on a computer, so they can just scan in their different elements and composite them, because it's just better for safety. I could probably make a drawing hashtag with like left hand drawing, like not what would you call it, like non-dominant hand drawing, or other hand drawing. I don't know what you'd. I'm not good with like these tagline stuffs. Okay, yeah, this I think this arm is buggered as well. Sorry guys, I'm breaking both my arms today. It's okay. It's just I think this arm needs a bit more stretching in itself. It's a little tense now from all the stuff happening today. I think that arm is just not used to doing as much work as it did. Yeah, I mean, it's coming together. Oh wow, I suddenly got much better with that line. Sounds like I switched hands for a second. I did not switch hands, I swear. I can't draw an S, but I'll try. That's kind of an S. Yeah, I mean, it's really important to stress that like you can mix them both. That it's not like you can do one or the other. That's what Dan's saying here. Like, you can scan in your drawing and then still mess with it, which is what I usually do before I finish up one. If I'm drawing an animation on pencil, like pencil and paper, I will like clean it up in digital to make sure that like it all lines up properly. Like you do your corrections, you do your animation corrections on the computer, and you can do some other stuff like you can fix bits, you can adjust the lighting. If there's something part of the drawing you don't like, you can mess around a bit, fix it, clean it up. I try not to do too much with it, but you can also color it if you want. In fact, this program has like a coloring program like thing already built into it. This I think that's exclusive to Clip Studio Paint, but they have like a system for instantly coloring your drawings. Actually, this isn't the worst thing I've drawn. Yeah, I mean, the left hand isn't doing too bad. It'd probably do better on paper, but digital's like a bit of an awkward thing to learn. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Superman, right? It kind of looks like him. Yeah, everyone should watch the animated series. That's a good thing. I know they're making another. They're always making a Superman like animated film or something like that. I know they're making a Birthright version, and they've adopted a kind of style that's like similar to the actual comic book. I think the Birthright comic book is worth reading. I don't know if the movie is going to be any good. I think that the later stuff that DC's done, like animated wise, has not been great. I don't know. The last animated DC thing I watched that I liked was probably like Wonder Woman, and that came out like 12 years ago. So take that with a pinch of salt. Hello, Awu. Nice name, by the way. Yeah, there's a lot of workflows you can use for artistic programs and all that, but it's all to you really. You'll find your preference by working on it and trying out different things. Now, all right, I'm going to use my right hand again for a second, which means pain. I'm just going to say super. There we go. Superman, left-handed drawing. How are we all doing tonight, anyway? How's everyone feeling? I feel a lot more zen now after a little while. I feel a little bit more chill than I was before when everything was not working. Yeah, this left hand not great, but it's doing the gist. I'm actually kind of curious now. I want to see if this will work. I'm going to go on to edit, colorize all. I'm going to see if it actually comes out, if the internet can recognize this as a Superman drawing and give me actually the real colors. Probably isn't, but let's find out. Oh, okay, that's not even close. But do people like their violent Superman? I mean, that could be a Superman for sure. I didn't see the TMNT Batman movie, so I don't know if that's any good. Sounds like a funny concept, at least. Someone here, the Precise Climber just stumbled upon this channel while looking for Phoenix videos. Yeah, I do have a Phoenix video. We were talking about Phoenix earlier on. And Tezuka, yeah, great OVA. Definitely a great OVA. Worth reading the actual comic book. I have an old comic book somewhere, an old magazine, which is like kind of like a history of manga kind of comic book, where there's actually I think they just reprint the whole of the chapter 4 of Phoenix in it. So that's a good easy way of actually owning Phoenix for a lot cheaper than buying it in like paperback or hardback. Yeah, I actually quite like the randomization that happens when this program does it. It's actually pretty interesting to see how like the program like figures out what colors are, and it's always good as an underpainting, even if it's not like everything correct. It is quite fun to have the yeah, obviously not my colors, Gabby, but I appreciate that you like it. I think it's kind of fun in a sketchy way. I'll see if I can turn the colors a little closer to Superman. I'll attempt to. Now, if I can do it, that's another thing. But I will try and make it a little bit more Superman-y. Unless this is just pink Superman. Superman is just pink now. Let's see if this will work. I got this one on colour, so hopefully it doesn't affect it too badly. I may actually lower down the purple's kind of a vibe, so I may actually just lower down the colours of this blue. But I want it to be recognisable, at least. So we'll see how that goes. So I may tone this blue down in the end and keep the purple hue, just make it a bit more stylized. Like he's in weird lighting. Maybe he's in space or something. Yeah, I mean, I remember, if I remember, Tezuka all talking about like how he wanted to finish Phoenix like in his bed, like screaming about, you know, on his deathbed about just let him work, please let him work, because he worked so fast. Like he did so many stories, and there's so much stuff going on in his narratives. He always had like one idea going. I mean, not only with Phoenix, he was also working on that animated movie that apparently his son finished. His son finished his like last project he was working on. It was not even a hugely animated project. It was just like a kind of mixed media thing. All right. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is the beginning of Superman 4. This is what he looks like in Superman 4, I'm sure. Okay, that's a bit strong. How about we try hue? Okay, we're getting somewhere there. Maybe if I just tone it down a little bit to like a bit more like that. You know, I do like what's the fella's name that does the Metal Gear art? Shinjiro. I've forgotten his name, but the artist for Metal Gear Solid, I really do like his art. I've always been a big fan. I don't know if I'd say it was I mean, to some degree it was an influence, yeah. But like he was also inspired by lots of different artists himself, from like the creator of Wolf and Cub to like Frank Miller, as well as Amano. You know, I really like Amano's art as well. Really big fan of Amano. Recently I've been looking into like Japanese woodcuts. I want to get this book on war woodcuts. There's this Japanese war woodcut book which has a lot of these crazy cinematic looking woodcuts from like the early of 20th century, and they're just really fantastic. Great stuff. Yeah, I could imagine Phoenix going that way, because it went all the way into the future, so why not into the present day as well? Anyway, this is my left hand, guys. This is not my dominant hand, but this is what I can do with it so far. I don't know who Akimoto is, unfortunately. I also have an Amano book somewhere. I don't know if it's huge, but it's kind of like it's a pretty cool little book on Amano. I don't know if they've got bigger ones, but yeah, I bought one a couple of years ago. Very cool. Some interesting interviews in there as well, because he started in anime. All right. I'm just going to clean this up with my other hand, which I shouldn't be doing. Tell me off, please. I shouldn't be using the hand. All right. Maybe I can bring a different color in. No. Maybe I can just change the underwear, maybe. Oh. Just trying to make this bit a bit more red, but it's not working, so it's fine. Oh, that didn't work. Okay. Yeah, thank you for telling me. I don't think I've heard the oh, I'm not sure I've heard of them, unfortunately. Hello, Poland. How we doing? Yeah. If anyone wants to get Amano's stuff is great. There's a particular character in Vampire Hunter D who's just so Amano. I imagine he must have done designs at some point. I don't know if he actually worked on the anime though. I know he's worked on the actual original books, but the design is just something he'd do. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, I kind of like that ethereal stuff, like the more stylistical thing. Anyway, this is how I could draw Super. This is my left hand, and that's how I could draw Superman with it. I can't really be bothered to fix the coloring, but I think that looks alright. That's actually better than you could expect, to be honest, with your left hand. I don't know if I want to go that far. Do I want to go that far? How about we say about... I want to say about there. There we go. That's where we are at. That's Superman. The first movie? It could be any Superman. I mean, I was going for like a classic kind of Superman, but I think that works. So maybe if I move him around, if I move him out of the way, I can draw another character. Let's just move him. Oh, no, that's the only one layer. Oh, okay, we have several layers here to move. Let's move that one over there. Alright, we've got 4 minutes until 11 o'clock, so maybe I can get more... Alright. I need one more character to draw then. I'll draw one more character, then I'll call it a night, I guess. Then I can read some books or something. And try and avoid damaging my other wrist. We're talking about Superman. Little Nemo, eh? Yeah, that Little Nemo picture. I think that's one of the funnier thumbnails I did. I like the little Miyazaki bed rest. I think that's good. I think it's funny. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little frightening too, but I think that's part of the fun. I would say I'd draw Little Nemo, but I don't remember what Little Nemo looks like. I need a character that's a bit more recognizable. Who else could I draw? Oh, Vampire Hunter D. There we go. I was talking about them earlier. Let's try and draw Vampire Hunter D. That one's like all airy-fairy anyway. So let me get a new layer. Alright. So let's go. This is going to be left hand. Left hand, my non-dominant hand. Let's draw Vampire Hunter D. Let's go. And it's going to be in red because I can't be bothered to change the colour on it. So this is the last drawing of the night, then I'm probably going to go off, read some books and go to bed. And hopefully rest up. Now, I watched the films yesterday, so all right, maybe I need a little bit smaller brush. I watched the films yesterday, so I should hopefully remember what D looks like. And this is kind of an interesting thing, because I remember reading, back in the day when I was 14, I read a book by Stan Lee, which was like how to do comics, the Stan Way or something along those lines. Yeah, I got to make him. I mean, he'll be a silhouette, so unfortunately, he's probably not going to be too pretty. But yeah, I remember reading this comic by Stan Lee about it all, and there was one bit in there which I found really fascinating, and I haven't heard much about it since, which was like this idea of constructing your images by using scribbles. And it's probably something that someone else will do, and I'm sure there's plenty of artists that do this sort of stuff. But like, especially with my left hand right now, because I don't have much control, I think this is actually a really good way of doing it. It might have been called the Marvel method, the Marvel way, whatever the comic was called. But like, there was one bit in it I remember specifically about like constructing an image by using scribbles to sort of just like you just scribble your way through it and like really roughly, and then you kind of use that as like the image. And they're always talking about like pushing poses and using construction lines and all this other like basic stuff. It was actually a really cool basic book. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is probably the comic I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, I mean, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust and Vampire Hunter D, I think they're both like fun watches. Like they're pretty fun to watch. I think Bloodlust is my favorite, but like I said, in December we may be talking more about that on the channel. We may make a whole. It's going to be this weird mixture. This video I'm planning to do is like a weird mixture between like a podcast with someone else, but also like an edited video. I want to go in between those worlds and have like a very long, sort of lightly edited podcast audio visual experience where I think the video will still be relative, but I don't think I'm going to put like, it's probably not going to be incredibly polished, but it will sort of just be a stream of consciousness kind of video. Yeah, like Vampire D is cool. Write general synopsis, draw the art, write the dialogue in that order. Yeah, that's kind of how he made his comics. But like he wrote a whole book about like the art of making comics, where he was more like the guide, and then he had an artist do the work in the middle. But it's just like little things they brought up. Like the scribbled one was something that I don't usually hear people talk about, and I don't think it's even in the reprints. Where yeah, the idea was that you can construct an image by just sort of like the idea of just scribbly lines and just sort of construct it in a really rough fashion, and like the more you do it, like it will eventually come together and create the image that you want, but it gives a sort of real energy and texture to it, like this. Yeah, a disclaimer for anyone in there, like getting a how to draw manga book from like Americans or people who aren't Japanese is a fool's errand. They're all terrible. I think I owned one or two of them myself. All of them are dog shit. The Marvel book is a much better book because it's coming from people who really spent years and years, like, 12 years at a time just writing and drawing comic books. And obviously were very successful at it. I think they know what they're talking about to an extent. Like, I think it is really good just as like a basic understanding. Like for me at 14, it was really like good just to kind of like learn the basics of those sort of things and sort of just getting just about what those rules were. Yeah, and John Busuma. John Bush, he's a good John the artist who was from the thing was a really good comic artist. I think he was a very good traditional comic artist. I think he knew what he was doing. Like I think his drawings in the book look fine. They're like really nice, really classical, like Marvel looking, like Silver Agey, Bronze Age looking stuff. It was cool. All right. We get the nice sword in there. Getting that nice sword. Fuck. I can't draw a straight line though. to save my life. Yeah, his art is very fitting for like the Conan the Barbarian, if that's what he did. He was really excellent artist, I thought. I think he did a really good job at like teaching you like basic connect like stuff. Even though like I probably have to read through it again, but I think some of it's a little bit too basic. Like I don't think the perspective or the foreshortening stuff in there ever really helped me very much. Though like just the basic construction stuff was alright. Though I know a lot of different artists may tell you to not draw like characters from boxes because people aren't really box shaped. They're more like angular a lot of the time. But I think the box is a good analogy for like the basic learner. But yeah, I mean, maybe triangles would do you better in the end of the day. But like just the idea of using those lines at the time was not something I was thinking about. Even if I don't use it a lot now, I do think about those construction lines, about how you make things. Yeah, it's got to have a sword. Is this what D looks like? Hello, Jack. You're a little late. Unfortunately, this is probably going to be the end in a second. This is what D looks like. Does D look like this? This one's a lot more like abstract, but this is my Armoro. This is my go at being an Armoro. Yeah, does D look like this? Am I on the money here? Maybe I should draw a horse as well, but I'm not very good at drawing horses. But I'll give it a go. I'm sorry, guys. I'm about to draw a horrible horse. Oh my god, I don't know if I should be doing this. Alright, I'll try and draw a horse, everyone. I'm sorry in advance. I have drawn a horse recently, but I'm just not very good at drawing horses. They're very complicated. In fact, if you go back to like Kawajiri, when Kawajiri was making like Bloodlust, he talked about like, you know, there are very specific people in the industry that were horse animators, and most of those people have retired now. But I think in Bloodlust was like he was bringing them out of retirement, or they were just coming up to retirement. It just wasn't like, it's a very specific job. That's why most horses now in animation, especially in Japanese animation, are drawn like they're done in CGI, because there just isn't people who are specializing in that sort of thing anymore. It's just such a unique talent to have. And it must be a hard one to do, to be fair. Horses are so weird to draw. There's so many different like gangly bits on them. Well, they're both called Alucard, so you know. I think one of them certainly took from another Alucard. Wait, no, his name... Wait, is D actually Alucard? Because isn't he like the son of Dracula, so technically he would be Alucard, but they call him D. I'm not even... Is he technically named Alucard? D, or is he just D? I mean, Helsing and Vampire Hunter D, they're very much of the same kin. No, so his name isn't actually Alucard, but he's like alluded to be that kind of character, right? A Dampier, you know, son of a Dracula. Make his... Pretty sure it's... Alright, let's go back in it with a kneaded eraser. And we'll just define the big top of the horse. Yeah, isn't D like the old 3DO game? Isn't that like Vampire Hunter D the game? Isn't there a Vampire Hunter D the game? It's like a Resident Evil clone. I think it's literally based on Vampire Hunter D, isn't it? The D video game. The original D's dinner table, nice. Yes, Dracula's dinner table. Is that what is D's real name? Just D? Is Alucard? No. Oh, okay. You're misconstruing. I'm talking about Alucard from Castlevania, who is, you know, Dracula's son. But I think Alucard in Vampire Hunter, no, and Helsing is actually just Dracula, but his name backwards. I fucking. I'm confused. What is I don't think so in this context? Oh, D the game is very. Oh, so it's not. There is a Vampire Hunter D game though. There is a Vampire Hunter D game. I'm pretty sure it's a Resident Evil clone, but I can't remember much about it. Maybe it was on the PlayStation and not the 3DO. No, bad hand. Bad right hand. You don't get to draw this. My right hand is like, no, I must draw this. This is going terribly. Alright, maybe if I bring in some lighter color. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm going to bring in some lighter color. Okay, so this D game is very different. There is a Vampire Hunter D game though, I think I'm conflating the two. So like, let's do a D close-up face in this corner here. So let's pretend this is like a postcard memory, and you know, it's like he's going into the sunset, and you get to see a picture of his face before he does that, and he's like, I'm very serious. Look at how serious I am. Oh, so there's a weird hand in D as well. I mean, interesting. He's got his hair. Hair's nice and long. The other hand, don't. Okay. He's got his vampire teeth. There you go. Very nice. Maybe we just get all his hair in there. Try and get some of his chiseled bonage in there. He's got some strong cheekbones, maybe. Sure, he's probably got some nice eyebrows. I forget if D has eyebrows. I'm sure he must have eyebrows. You look a bit weird without them. Alright. You know, as far as left-hand drawings go, you could do a lot worse, I reckon. Though I don't think Madhouse is going to be hiring me anytime soon for them to make their eventual comeback in Vampire Hunter D, which will never happen. Supposedly Kawajiri's the one that wanted to keep doing Vampire Hunter D stuff, but it just didn't come together. I think he said that it just wouldn't be realistic to be able to do it in 2D. With like, he just, you know, the people he used to hire just aren't about anymore. I think he wanted to do it in 3D, and they just never really bit after that point. I don't think a 3D Vampire Hunter D series would probably work very well. I don't know. I think it would lose some of its appeal. It may be good, but I think the animation would suffer unless they get a really talented team on it. You know, I try and stream on a weekly basis, but it really does depend. Usually I would have streamed on a Wednesday or a Sunday. I was going to stream yesterday, but my wrist was just too fucked. So I was planning to do a right-handed draw stream, and I just came to the conclusion I needed a day of rest. And then when I was streaming today, I came to the conclusion I can't do any drawing today, so instead I'll just talk. But then I thought, why don't I draw with my left hand? Because at least then it's funny. It's just nice to do, you know. But yeah, on a weekly basis usually. If I'm lucky, I'd do it twice a week, but you know, at least once a week. Usually I'll just sit down and talk and draw. I'm not really in the perspective, I don't know. both my arms are a bit buggered now, so I'm not really playing any video games anytime soon. How do I make his... I need to make his nose a bit more elegant. Because I'm pretty sure he'd have an elegant nose. Let me just erase this nose for a second. Let's make him... I can't remember what kind of nose he has, but I'm sure it must be really elegant. Ugh. Alright, gotta stretch all my stuff out. Remember to take breaks, I guess, kids, or you're gonna end up like me and all your joints won't work anymore. Just gotta stretch everything out. I'm going to assume... I don't have a picture in front of me. I wasn't prepared. So I'm just going to assume he has a straighter nose because that would be more handsome. I have a feeling that all his features would be very handsome-y, right? Yeah, slender and tall. He's like a tall dude. I'm going to give him sort of more indented eyes. And then you have like piercing eyes for these shadowy things. So maybe you could see his eyes beneath the shadowy parts, but ultimately maybe have big luscious lips as well. Let's give him some big kissy lips. I don't remember if he actually has those, but I think it would be fun. He's got these nice lips. I mean, I've heard in the novels he's like considered like the most handsome. They say like everyone is attracted to D in the novel, something along those lines. That just like by the very looking at him. I have to read them. I might have to reread a couple of them to like get on with the video. But just the idea that he's like so beautifully handsome that anyone that looks at him falls in love instantly. Even the men. And if that's true, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Kawajiri would hire me. He'd be like, I see you can draw horses. Maybe you can help me make the new Vampire Hunter D film. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlustier. It's even more lust for blood. Don't worry everyone. After I draw this picture, after I finish it, I'm going to finish up for the night because I don't want to end at 12. So like in another couple minutes I'll end up. So if you want to go ooh, no problem. If you've got a test tomorrow, I hope you have good luck with your test. Get a good night's rest. That'll make you feel a little less stressed about it. I'm just going to mess around with his face a little bit more and then I'm probably calling it a night. All right, let's see. So yeah, this drawing. Just delete a little bit there. You know, for a man with his left hand, you could do worse. That's what I think. You could do worse. I laugh like a crazy person at that brilliant title. What title is it? Left hand drawing? Oh, Bloodlustier. Sorry, yeah, Bloodlustier. Yeah, that's the name of the series I'll be working on. Bloodlustier. It's like Die Harder. That's what they're going for. Yeah, I'm going to say the horse ends about there. Alright, and as tried and true method for me, I'm going to see how the internet and this machine thinks it should be colorized. Let's see what colors they think we should add to this picture. Alright. Oh, okay. Let's do a couple more stretches. I'm going to do some back stretches because my back's kind of a little bit stiff after all this. Oh, hello. What were we thinking about that? Very shadowy and dark and mysterious, huh? What a mysterious figure I'm looking at now. Now, I might tone it back a bit to about there. There we go. I want to be able to see some of my terrible lineage. You know, I'm beginning to think that this thing can only colour with certain shades of colour from the internet. But I think it's kind of a vibe. I think that's kind of unique in its own right. There we go. So let's pull out a bit. That is my left hand drawing. You know, I don't know if I could have done it better with my right hand. No, I could have definitely done it better with my right hand, but still. I think that's what Vampire Hunter D looks like. Maybe his hat's a bit longer. I don't know, guys. Is his hat a little bit longer? He's got quite a long hat. Like that, right? But yeah, I'll say that's the end of drawing. I'm just going to cool down my muscles. I'm going to do a bit of stretching on both sides. I'm going to go through all my stretches on my left and right arms, and then I'm going to read and go to bed. So thank you for joining the stream. I hope everyone had a nice time, just being casual like that. I'm just going to, warm down a bit. No hat on right? Oh yeah, the furthest picture is a close-up of his face. I didn't want the hat to get in the way. That's like him without the hat on. That's like him thinking about, I don't know, vampire stuff. Right, let's just do a couple stretches. So stretch out all the tendons. Go through all the little exercises here. And I'll say goodbye to everyone. I hope you enjoyed. I went 20 minutes longer than I expected to. But if everyone wants to go to bed, they can go to bed now. I'm just going to cool down all these little bits. Alright, maybe a couple of rotations. I'm going to try and stretch the muscles like that. Probably should actually be stretching my left one out more because I've been using that. Yeah, you have a good one too, 88. I'm glad you came. Have a nice night. I mean, I assume it's night for most people now. It's pretty late here. Do all my old man stretches from my different body parts that are falling apart. I'll post them on Twitter separately. I'll post them and I'll make sure to categorize that they're both left-handed drawings. I think it's good exercise. I don't know. I think it's worth trying out. Drawing with your non-dominant hand is a good exercise in training your hand-eye coordination because it's not as strong with that hand. You've got to work through different ways to get to where you want to be. So it's a fun little exercise to do. Sometimes the energy is a bit stronger as well because it's so unruly. Alright, what other exercise can I do on these hands before I'm going? Maybe I'll just do a full one. So we're going to start up here. Oh, that actually really hurts on the left hand, so I'm guessing that must be really tight. It's just a bit shaky. Go there. Kind of. Oh, yeah. See, on this hand it's here, and on this hand it's down here. So that's two different strains. I'm not gonna go like that. Alright, there we go. That'll do for my stretching for now. I'll do some more off camera. But I will switch back to mouse mode. Wherever it is. I'll make sure to save these. And I will switch to here. Switch back to here. And I will say goodnight to everyone. Bye bye. Bye bye. It's time to do my Sonic sync. I'm shutting off now, I guess. Oh yeah, looks like my chat on here really buggered itself because the chat died. The live chat died when someone said Mobius was great. So yeah, I'm gonna be out, guys. Have a nice night. I'll probably just end the stream right now. Bye bye. Yeah, I mean, Dasaki's really cool. Shabes did a whole retrospective on Dasaki. I was going to do one, but I think Shabes is good enough. He gave the pretty good concrete stuff about Dasaki's life, but I may talk about individual Dasaki shows more. I'd like to do that. I just had to pick the right moment to do it. I mean, Dasaki's like one of the greatest. But yeah, I'd have to figure out how I would talk about him, or like what element I want to talk about. The Mighty Allbots has got me interested a little bit, if I could figure out anything about that one, just because it's like it's an American Japanese perspective project, very well animated, only went for like 13 episodes, has a very American like sloppy kind of toy commercial plot, but like the animation is really beautiful. But yeah, alright, I'll catch you all in a bit. I'm out.